retirement version 1, done at the Hawks. You sort of touched on it with the 2012 injury and the fact that kind of allowed you to dabble in a few other interests. What was it actually like fronting up and going, well, my time as a footballer or a professional footballer is done. What's next? Were you clear on the pathway, or was there still some angst about what the everyday was going to look like?
No, it was... Clarko was always... He was always a big one that you're only a temporary custodian of the football club. Like, you're a little thing in a big environment and you make that place as good as you possibly can while you're there. And it got to a stage where Mitch and Louis had left the year before, and then I was coming to my 300th game, and there was so much. Are they going to kick him off like they did the other two? Is he going to retire? Is he going to play on? And I was at the stage where I was really enjoying my football, but it was also at the stage where I was moved to half back because they got in Jager and Tommy. And then I was sitting there playing with Sicily, Burton and Hardwick. And I was just loving footy. It was developing. It wasn't about getting the ball. It was about teaching young kids the role that the stuff that I learned at 23, 24, if I could teach them that at 18, 19, then my job was done. And I just went to Clarko. I said, mate, I've been doing Channel 7 for 7 or 8 years. I said, I've got a job there. I'm happy rather than getting all this stuff about is he going to finish off. If this is my last year, I'd prefer to call it now and enjoy it. Finish off, enjoy it, and just be on my way and move on to the next part of my life because of the guys that I sort of mentioned before and that pathway.
So you had a clear pathway, so
yeah. So I'd had
Livingston, OCC.
No, that wasn't part of that. No, that was I was just going to go into media and maybe do some part-time coaching. But I'd already agreed with Channel 7 that this was going to be the path I was going to go to. So I was comfortable that my post-football was ready to go, and I didn't want to take a spot because while I was developing those young kids, that we had Birchall out, we had Stratton out, and we had James Frawley all out. That next year they would come back in. So if they come back in, and I'm still there, one of those young guys are probably going to miss out and go back to VFL. And the temporary custodian part that didn't feel right. I wasn't going to be a part of the next premiership team. I had a year developing him. My turn to move over and let someone else come in and do that role. And then my last year, football was actually pretty good. Whether it was the shackles were released and it was this, but after I announced it, Fags just sent a message. He goes, "Oh, well, we've got a young team up here. That old body might like some heat. The sunshine might help it." And I was like, "Oh, a bit of a joke round." I ended up coming third now being F in my last year. I thought, "Oh, that's all done." But then Fags sort of come. He'd been watching, and I wore the mic against Adelaide, maybe 3 games to go or something like that. Fags heard it, sent it to Greg Swan and said, "This is what we need." And then when I'd finished up at Hawthorn, Fags resent that message. And I'm like, "Nah, I can't do it." And I'm sitting there going, shit, my body feels good. I enjoyed the last part. What would it look like if I did go? And I'd go and talk to a couple of guys. I spoke to Livo and a couple other mates, and I'd have a couple of drinks. I'd be like, I could do this. I spoke with Fags. I said, look, I'm interested. I could do it. But every time I'd wake up, can't play against Hawthorn. Couldn't do it. And Lauren at the end of the day just said, can you make a decision? Like, can you just make a decision? Because
we're waiting.
Yeah, she's sitting there going, well, it's a good opportunity. If it doesn't work, you got 2 years up in Brisbane. Kids are still in school. We've still got a house back here. It's a family trip for 2 years. Good experience. So then I said, Fags, I'm like, well, what do you need from me? And he goes, I don't want you to get the ball. I'm like, shit, that's good. He goes, I can coach them before the game. I can coach them at halftime. I can coach them after the game. But it's the bonding that they need because they had that go-home factor of the 24s to 28s. He goes, what I need you to do is teach them out there what to do and when to do it. If they make a right decision, let them know. If they make a wrong one, give them an option and then follow up with them after game. And I'm sitting there going, it just put me back into the Hardwick, the Sicily.
Yeah,
and
what I loved.
Well, what I love and the passion that I had about it and the development part of the game that I love with the young kids. And yeah, we made the call and I went around and told Clarko.
What was his response?
Well, Clarko was really good because I was doing the Hawthorn book at that stage, and he went through and read the whole book and said, mate, I'll check carefully your wording here, I'll change that. So he was really good. And then at the end of it, I waited for him to finish the whole thing, but I'm like, Fags, I want to know if I want to go to Brisbane. He's like, right. I'm like, shit, he's going to punch me. And then he's like, do you want an extra year at Hawthorn? He goes, if we've still got a spot, we haven't made any major changes. Do you want another spot? I'm like, no, because the reason why I retired from Hawthorn is for that reason. Like young kids coming back in, I didn't want to take their spot. I said, my Hawthorn stuff, I loved it, but this is an opportunity where it referred back to Shane Crawford. When Crawford retired because of his knees, he goes 3 months later, he felt great. So he kept running past. He lived in Brighton near Crawford. He reckons he kept running past Clarko's house just to try and see him. Oh, you're fit. You want to come back and have a go? He goes, because you're a long time retired. And then I said, I'll go back and have a bit of a think. And I went back and saw Clarko a week later and said, mate, I think I'm going to do it. I spoke to Fags. And he goes, he went from like a mentor to, oh, yeah, so how are they going to get you? I said, oh, well, they got the number 1 pick in the preseason draft. I'll probably choose that. And he'd gone straight to coach. Well, we've got a lot of late picks. Maybe if we swap them around, and all of a sudden he was trying to get the best deal, just best deal for Hawthorn. But that's sort of how it came apart of the chat from Fags. Wouldn't ever have went up there if it didn't have the trust. I worked closely. I probably worked the closest with Fags out of all the coaches in that time there. Trust and just his passion just got us over the line, knowing that if it didn't work, that we would come back to Melbourne, it would all be the same.